Hello, I am Jack. Welcome to the Security Breakdown, a podcast about security stuff and things. And today we are joined by I was going to say venerable then, but that sort of feels a bit crude.
No, that's a bit old. That sadly sounds old, Jack. Yeah.
What should we say? The heroic Stuart Codling, who is the Neighbourhood Policing Lead for Berkshire East.
Berkshire East is part of Thames Valley Police, yes.
Thames Valley Police. I knew that, I just didn't want to say it. So thank you very much, Stuart, for coming on the podcast.
Pleasure.
We've known of each other for a while now. You were one of the founding members of the Fight Back initiative, Fight Back Against Retail Crime.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about that on this episode.
Great.
And how Fight Back sort of relates to policing and specifically Thames Valley Police, just from your perspective of like why Fight Back exists and what's good about it, and you know, maybe a bit about what more we can do for Fight Back and sort of making the world a better place and everything. But before we get into that, Security Breakdown podcast, sponsored by Skills for Security. They are the #1 training provider in the fire and security industry in the UK. And they very kindly sponsor the podcast so that we can spend time chatting about stuff in the industry. So let's kick off by talking specifically about retail crime in the UK, where it is and what's happening with it. We've had the retail crime survey for the last year, just came in a couple of weeks ago, which said it was going down, right, which is good. But in terms of like for you guys, like where does retail crime sit in the police agenda? Is it still like the big priority? Is it still a #1 thing?
I would say it's a high priority, Jack. Yes. I know I would definitely say the last 2-3 years, the conversation within policing has very much focused around our response to retail crime, business crime, and how we can best support everyone who works or goes into those communities. So, within Thames Valley Police, if I be specific within there, it's explicit in our overarching strategy that we will increase outcomes within that sphere. And that's one of our primary functions, one might say, to go and arrest people and deal with them, pursue them, and ensure that we can do our best to reduce the harm that they cause within those retail spaces. Yeah. So, I think it has definitely come to be a priority over the last few years. It remains so very much, like I said, both on a force level and for me within my local teams within Berkshire East, which covers Bracknell, Royal Borough of Windsor, Maidenhead and Slough. But I would say across UK policing, it remains one of our key priorities.
Just looping back to the retail crime survey, some of the incidents that they quantify have dropped quite significantly, like violent incidents are like half. Yeah. Do you feel that's something that is reflected in what you see on a day-to-day? Do you feel like it is tailing off?
It's difficult to know in terms of is it tailing off, because I think there's always been that question about how accurate certainly our records are. Okay. Yeah. And when you look at the British crime records, that disparity between the two, and what retail itself says or would suggest that is a truer picture. So definitely the sense would be on a daily basis, we look at our crime reporting for the previous 24 hours each morning. My sense on that would be that yes, those incidents of violence have reduced, and I think that was always the aim. That was always the priority, to make sure that staff could go to work and feel safe.
Absolutely.
So those incidents of violence where we're taking calls, our response is timely and then effective, and importantly that we're charging people appropriately, Jack. So if they've jumped over the counter to steal some cigarettes, then they've committed burglary.
Absolutely.
If they've used or threatened violence against a member of staff or someone else in order to steal, that's robbery.
Yeah.
So they get charged accordingly. So I would say from my perspective on that local level, looking at what we get through, that yes, it does seem to have come down.
Good.
Yeah.
There's plenty more work to be done. Like, it's not just celebrate. We're not all going out for a beer this afternoon. There's a lot of work, but it's good to know, even just as a human being that has to go to the shops sometimes. Yeah. To see it written in statistics is good, but to get a bit of sort of, it feels like maybe something is changing a little bit. But you're right, there is that sort of, there's always a fear of like, well, okay, maybe people just didn't report it as much this year for whatever reason. You'd hope not, but I guess time will tell. Interesting. I was just curious. I know that wasn't on the list at all.
No, that's fine.
Just as you sort of came up, I was thinking about it. So, on track, fight back events were sort of created in a response for partially, I'm not going to say wholly, in response to criticism of the police for sort of a lack of response around retail crime. What do you feel like you were really trying to get out of putting something together with, Fight Back works with security vendors, it works with the retailers specifically, and then obviously with the police. So bringing that collaboration together, when you say it out loud, it almost, it's like, duh.
Yeah.
We should have been doing this from the start, right?
Yes.
But where were you trying to go with it? What was did you ever see an end goal or anything like that?
In all honesty, I think at the time, Jack, no. I think it was that immediate reaction to some very legitimate criticism of us. And I think we are honest enough to be able to say at times we've either not been able to prioritise in a certain area or have missed things. So that's definitely the case. And I think if we're not honest with the very people that we look to protect, Jack, then we put ourselves in a tricky place, right? But I think very quickly, having come into the retail crime space, as I was, 3 years ago, I was working in a more central role, looking across the whole of Thames Valley Police. And it was, like you say, a bit of a moment. It was a bit of a, hang on a minute, this is just so obvious, right? Because there's only one group of people that we shouldn't be inviting to this table, and that's the people who are choosing to steal or cause harm in those communities. So it was initially that attempt to bring us to the table, to say, look, no, we are here, we are listening, we want to be part of the solution going forward because we feel we have a lot to bring here, and not just in terms of pursuing. But very quickly then, through the conversations certainly with you guys here at Smokescreen, with 3UK, where we did that initial scoping work, it became evident that actually there were other outcomes, other impacts that we could generate through this, and then it just snowballed from there. So that simple idea of us coming together turned into a bit of collaboration, a bit of joint thinking about what do we each bring, and then just conversations today, being here, taking it again steps further to talk about potential social impact, potential for diversionary opportunities, preventative opportunities with people who have been on the other side of the table, which I just think would be an amazing step to take.
It's interesting that you said at the start, the only people that we wouldn't invite are the perpetrators.
Yes.
And it's almost flipped of like, well, actually, maybe those are the people that we should be inviting because, well, I mean, just advertising that, the police are involved, advertising that the retailers are paying attention and are working together. Things like the shop watch schemes and stuff like DISC, where they're into reporting and you've got, neighbourhood, communication. Advertising that to the offenders would be a great deterrent. If
Yes.
they, and I'm sure they do, they know that stuff's going on, but they might not necessarily think about it in their day-to-day. It's going on in their patch.
No.
So to go, hey, look, here's all the stuff that we're doing.
Yeah.
You should be scared almost. So
Yeah.
even from that perspective, it makes sense. But then to bring, invite them to the conversation, say, well, look, if you were going to rob this shop, what would you do? And then taking that knowledge and just going, right, well, we'll do the opposite of whatever you were about to do, and sort of solve those problems as they come.
Yeah, I think it's, and we've done it over time with different crime strands. When you think back to car crime and how prevalent that was, late 80s, 90s.
Before I was born.
We needed to speak to the people who understood how easy it was back then to steal a car and why they stole the cars.
Find the easy wins, isn't it? Like find the weaknesses that they're exploiting, and you shore up those parts.
Exactly. And I think, there's a couple of fabulous examples of work going on at the moment. Stuart Codling from, I think, is he West Yorkshire Police? Stuart,
I think.
Offender to Rehabilitation Programme, and the Nottinghamshire
Open to Recovery
Programme, which is just about looking at supporting people, getting them out of that cycle. Because one of the things when we have been part of the conversation is that we now know that it's the same people.
Yeah.
It's the same people who cycle through. Now, whether that's a daily routine or whether that is a steal, get caught, get charged, go to prison,
it's
come
not even
out,
the same people,
and do
is
it again.
It's the same families.
It's a
generational thing. It's the grandfather and then the son and so on, and all the way down the chain. These people can't escape from. It's like pre-written for them, and like, this is the life I'm going to end up living because I've got no other choice but to. So I think the fight back.
It's super challenging,
part of it, isn't it?
I think for us to have the opportunity to actually not just bring our collective expertise and knowledge together to prevent crimes and reassure staff, reassure the public that you can come into my shop and be safe, but that we can actually impact some of those who are, like you say, some of them won't have had a choice, Jack.
No.
Some of them, kids don't grow up, I don't think, wanting to be villains and thieves.
I'm sure
and
some
to cause harm.
But you're right.
But they, to be able to, at some point, at an appropriate point, to take them out of that cycle and then use the knowledge that they've got. Like you said, it's priceless, because it's a very different view to my view.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to the one that the retailers where they're in their shop looking at, how do I maximize the sales from my products, which is a perfectly legitimate view to have.
Yeah.
But when someone is on the outside looking at, how do I best go into this place to take as much as I possibly can without getting caught? Well, if we know some of that, then that will enable us, I think, to be a bit more accurate.
And it also gives those people in that position, gives them a bit of purpose, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
It gives them an opportunity to really sort of give back to those retailers that they've been systematically harming for months and years.
Yes.
Okay, I've been the cause of this problem for so long. Here is some of the ways that you could use me as a solution. And I think I always think of, crime prevention and security and policing and retail. It's all part of this huge holistic bubble, and we're all jumbled up inside of it, and everything's interconnected. And just pulling one thread of anything sort of tugs everybody in one direction. Things start happening and everything's tied together. And just being able to, with Fight Back, come at it from, at this point, 3 angles, and then potentially a 4th angle, it feels like it's becoming a holistic solution to a holistic problem. I said to Matt ages ago on an episode of the podcast, like, retail crime is an everybody problem. It affects every single person that lives in this country, whether you're like a single mother who's on, benefit payments and food stamps, and you're like barely scraping together to get by to raise your kids in a little town, and suddenly you go into the shop and all the prices have doubled and you can't afford to buy the basic stuff, to the whole other end of the spectrum where you've got massive retailers, but it's the retailers that have got to put their prices up because they can't afford to keep having their stock stolen in the first place. And it's such a massive cycle. It affects everybody.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Doing as much as we can, I think is.
I think so. And
important.
I think the other bit of it for me that was a really different angle to anything I'd seen was the fact that we bring it to the community.
Yeah.
Was that we hold these events in a shopping centre, in a unit, or in the open space of a shopping centre, as we did at the Eden Shopping Centre in High Wycombe, and just allowed for people doing their shopping to walk by and see us doing something.
Yeah.
See us actually not just talking, but doing something, asking us what's going on.
Yeah, letting the public come in as well. And
come in, have a look. Because guess what, Jack? Some of those public might actually be people who have stolen. Some of those public might be people who are thinking of stealing. But most of those public will be just people who want to be reassured, want to know that I can come and park my car and then go about my business safely. And importantly, I think there's that social ease within us all that it might not be in my town, but if I see someone stealing or doing something almost with impunity, that gets at my own morals. And that's something that we definitely know from conversations with people, that somebody in one town might feel unsafe or might feel anxiety or just be really upset because somebody somewhere else is getting away with it.
Yeah.
So
it's even like really selfishly, it's like, well, it's not fair.
Yeah.
It's not fair that they can get away with it, and in my perception, I can't.
And
because I feel like I should be a good person. Right?
Should. And therefore, one could say, does that then lead to the potential that more people will then engage in that activity because there is no risk, there is no punishment.
Yeah, if so-and-so can get away with it, why can't I? That's the thing,
I think us bringing it to the community is a standout piece that allows for the conversation, allows for it to be localised, contextually to make sense within that shopping centre, and obviously reduces the impact. They're still at work. Their units are still open. So we're not asking people to travel, close up for the day and come out. And it just made me think, that was one of the other areas I was thinking we could go to with Fight Back. And this was a conversation for another time, is around that finer collaboration between larger retailers and small independents.
Okay.
Because we know that the small independents don't have the buying power.
Yeah, they haven't got the clout, have they?
Or the expertise that the bigger ones do. But we do it in policing. So Thames Valley collaborates with Hampshire. That means that on occasion we'll provide some resources, some assets for them, which enables them to provide a better service. Why wouldn't we?
Yeah,
so that kind of same sense within retail, your Sainsbury's, your Tesco, your TK Maxx, your Primarks, your big retailers providing that bit of support to the smaller localised independents. Anyway, that's off pat, but that was just another one that I think in terms of a discussion is.
Yeah, it's definitely worth thinking about. I think even in just if a big retailer goes out and what's the spend on crime prevention for retailers is billions, right?
Massive.
That's a huge amount of money that the big retailers are able to spend.
Yeah.
Hypothetically, they could have a perfect solution, right? Where it's impossible to steal from this shop. The criminals still exist. The offenders still exist. They've got to steal from somewhere. The only place they can go is next door to the guy that can't afford that perfect solution. So make it so that shoplifting isn't worth it anywhere, then that will stamp it out effectively, right?
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that can be done, and is already being done around that, is, like we were talking about before, reporting crime and collaborating just with information. So things like DISC, things like ShopSafe, where they're reporting information, collating information, and building crime packages together, where you can say this person has done not just this one crime, but 10 or 20 or 100 or whatever it is, and building that case against them. I think that's probably some way that we can go to bringing the smaller retailers in. I guess that's something that would work, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
What does it look like for the police for good reporting? What do you like to see?
Timely.
Okay.
Timely. So we within TVP, having been lucky to have had conversations with a number of people from retail very early on, I'm talking maybe 3 years ago, and this is a shout out to Iona Blake, I'm sure she's watching. Violence, volume, and value. So these were three things that, and that's been consistent from the retailers, really.
Okay.
We want our staff to be safe, fundamental. So anything with violence, anything where anyone offers violence. And for us, those are the higher end types of incidents anyway. That's our sole purpose, is to protect people. So that fits. Volume, those repeat offenders, those people who come in day after day, or even multiple times during a day, and steal. That focus around those, and then value, those one-off offences maybe. So that might be an overnight burglary, that might be theft of cable or something, one big high end. But that gives us that steer to make sure that our response is appropriate. In order for that to be appropriate, Jack, if a shop is being attacked, if there are 4 or 5 people going in, one of those so-called steaming offences, I don't really like the word steaming, but those offences where they go in like locusts and steal a number of high-end items, phone us and tell us that you are being robbed, and I want to know now. Yeah,
and I remember this from early on in the fightbacks, where reporting a crime, even if it's timely, it's no use reporting, somebody's come in and shoplifted from my jewellery store. It's, there are 6 men in here with weapons who are smashing everything to pieces and are like threatening my staff right now. That has way more weight to it, right?
We need that plain English reporting, Jack. If there are 6 people ripping your shop apart and they've threatened you not to touch them, tell me. That's what I need to know to make that determination that you're going to get what we call a grade 1 response, that emergency response, which is someone to the shop as soon as they possibly can be there. So that timeliness is just vital. And I would say, if someone has just left your shop, I would still be phoning up, because they have just left your shop, and it is almost the perfect window for us to get there and find them without there being any of those residual risks around confrontation in the shop or other members of the public, because where are they going? Well, they're leaving the shop to go to a car probably. So if I can find them at their car, it's only me and them. So there is no risk to anyone else, and that is almost the perfect time. So that timeliness, the detail, CCTV we know is crucial, and CCTV plays a massive part, because not only is it very good evidence that I can use at court, but it precludes the need for us to take people away from work to give evidence. It stops that sort of secondary impact, if you like, of the court case. I need witness A, witness B, witness C. I'm just going to show you a video of what happened.
This is as plain and obvious and clear
it's
as what it could possibly be.
And we certainly, Thames Valley Police aren't alone here. We have local processes where we can charge people without interviewing them.
Right, okay.
If the evidence is strong enough. So if I've got CCTV of Stuart Codling stealing from the shop and making these threats, if it's clear and unambiguous, which most of the time it is, because CCTV these days is amazing, then I don't even need to interview. So the impact is I don't need to take your staff to court or bring them to court, not take them to court. I don't need your staff to do that, so there's no impact on staffing time.
Yep.
There's less impact on my staff's time, on
I guess
policing time.
You can get your casework done quicker if you haven't got to interview people directly.
I can just charge.
There you go.
Charge to court, make a decision at court.
Yeah.
So
and then the court case gets shorter because all you have to do is watch the 20-second video clip.
Everything, and one might say, even for the person who's being charged, that's got to be better, because it will likely influence the way they plead.
Right. Okay.
So does it give them more opportunity to support themselves? But the timeliness, the detail, and I suppose one of the biggest questions is still around, what do I report? And I would say contextually that's probably where there's the biggest grey area, because it's really going to come down to what's relevant to the shop.
Right. Okay.
We know that there's an element of theft which really the shops can manage and do manage. It's not to say it's acceptable, but it doesn't need police involvement.
Right. Okay.
But those other instances, like I say, violence, volume and value, for me, gives us a really quick way to understand, should I be reporting this? Yes, you should.
Yeah.
Because it's Stuart Codling again. It's the sixth time he's been in this week. You're going to report that one. We know that there's an impact on retail in terms of the amount of time they have to spend. We know that 43 forces doesn't lend itself to one simple, easy mechanism. Each of us have our own way. That, again, gets in the way and causes frustrations at time. But
what's it like now for sharing information across, county borders and things like that? If I went into a co-op down the road and robbed from there, and then I went up, across to Nottinghamshire and I robbed at a co-op there, and I went over to Leicestershire and I robbed at a co-op there. What's it like now? Because I know there's obviously been that sort of county line crime.
Yeah.
Is that still, or is there work being done around that? Is it getting better?
It's definitely getting better. You've still got the fact that 43 forces operate within their boundaries and operate separate systems.
Yeah.
So it takes me as the investigator having a look. So if I've got someone offending in let's say down in the southeast of Thames Valley, Bracknell area, well, I'm really close to Surrey there. So the hope would be as an investigator that I'm just going to ask them the question.
Right.
But I have to be proactive in looking.
Okay.
We do have the benefit of Opal now, that national asset that proactively will search for those cross-border offenders and then proactively work with forces. I know that if I've got Stuart Codling repeat offender, I can go to Opal and ask them.
Yeah.
They will then help me do some work across the country, but they will also look proactively, like I say, for those cross-boundary issues. Yeah. So it's far better. It still requires a level of work, Jack. I mean, one might say with the police reform that's being talked of, if we were to reduce to 12 forces, well, the likelihood is then that our access to information is that much easier.
Yeah, you can collaborate across borders so much easier because you're the same company effectively, aren't you? Yeah. Okay. Do you think that retailers and business owners should be doing more than what they are already? Beyond, let's say we've got some, a high performing business owner they're doing the things that they've been told to do. They've signed up to the local schemes. They're in the BCRP. They've signed up to the bid. They've got the radios and they're communicating. They're reporting the crimes. Is there more that they could be doing or they should be doing?
It's a tricky one, isn't it? Because I will always say to my teams, I think in this team game, it's for me to really look at my teams and make sure my team is performing to their best. What I think has caused us issue in the past in terms of that collaboration is that there maybe has been in the past that sort of look across the table and a bit of finger wagging and a bit of you're not doing this, you're not pulling your weight. But actually, I don't know what the context is within some of those retail environments. So, like I said, the different retailers have different priorities. They have different approaches to certain things, and I think it's absolutely right as part of this collaboration that we can each look each other in the eye and ask the question, Jack, most definitely, are you doing enough?
Yeah.
And I'll say within policing, like I said at the start, I think the honest answer is we weren't doing enough. I think the answer is now that we're doing far more than we were. We've got a dedicated central business crime team that links in with a dedicated retail crime team on each of our command areas. They have they've just got access to Aura, another crime reporting platform, already got access to DISC. We already hold tactical planning meetings every fortnight with the NRCA, National Retail Crime Alliance. Yes. So all of these things for me would make me feel comfortable in saying we're doing more. I think it's absolutely right we challenge each other, and I think it's absolutely right that we bring those fresh eyes to say, are you doing as much as you can to design out crime within your store? Are you doing as much as you can to support your staff who you've given the responsibility of those bringing whatever security measures there are? And I think it's right that we ask questions. I think there is more for all of us to do. Like I said, with the CCTV, the frustration from policing's end at times will be that it's not available at the time that I need it, which is when I've arrested someone.
Right, okay.
And then that can lead to delays, because if I'm needlessly bailing someone, i.e. I'm releasing them without charge, just because I need the CCTV, that causes me work. What it does, most importantly, is allows that person out maybe to go and steal even more in the meantime. So
make themselves scarce, I guess, as well as the other option, isn't it?
I was thinking on the way up here, do you know, I genuinely think that empathy between us as a collaboration is crucial, because we are certainly facing challenges within policing. We have for years in terms of, financial savings we have to make, the environment we're working in, trying to keep abreast of all the technology and the advances. Criminals have access to this. We have boundaries, not just financial, but also legal boundaries, frameworks that we have to work within. I think there is, in terms of, like I said, designing out crime within certain spaces, within that process, and maybe that's about giving staff better access, giving staff the time to report, the time to download the CCTV, because we know at times that's a challenge.
So that CCTV, circled back around to it again, it sounds so important, because it doesn't just provide the evidence of the crime, it cuts down all of that work that everybody has to do. If the store can go, here's your CCTV on a USB stick at the scene of the crime, basically, then you're not letting the guy out, You're not chasing after people. You're not waiting. You're not bringing people in for interviews. You're not taking anybody to court. Well, you are. You're taking one person to court. You're not bringing everybody else with you. It's shortening the time spent at court. It just sounds like that would be, if people could focus on CCTV and making sure that footage is available immediately, would be so much more work could get done.
Yeah. Can I tell you, I go back to when I joined, we used to drive around, and in the boot of my car would be a load of VHS videotapes.
Oh, right, like blank ones.
Blank ones.
Ah.
So that when I went to the shop, I could give the shopkeeper a blank video to replace the one that I took out of his video machine, which had the recording.
Yeah.
That's how we worked back then. I mean, I think that, the relevance of CCTV now and what it offers in terms of evidence is crucial. I think it plays such a significant part, that if we could get that bit right, and there will be, I promise you, and this is the bit I'm talking about empathy here, because there will be as many retailers looking at me saying, but your guys didn't come out. They didn't come and collect it. We tried to upload it, but we couldn't get onto the link. I totally understand that, and I accept that. Okay. There are frustrations with that on both sides of our of the table, but if we can all focus on that, I think that would be the biggest game changer for all of us.
It's funny. I never thought. I always think of CCTV as a tool for collecting evidence. Yeah. But I never would have thought of it as a tool for, in a way, fundamentally reducing the after effects of a crime. Because I wouldn't have, in my head, I don't know that it would make your time in court less. I don't know that it's going to stop you from, if you haven't got the CCTV, you've got to let the guy out because you're waiting for it. Yeah. So in a way, it turns into a tool for reducing crime, because it's directly stopping that person from reoffending the next day or that same day, because you've got that immediate evidence that you can take straight with you.
And like I said, what we don't want to do, and what we couldn't do anyway in most cases, is use witness testimony, because in most cases the theft wasn't witnessed by anyone. So what we won't have is somebody going to court to say, I watched a video and it showed this, because that's just not evidence. So if the CCTV isn't available and the offence wasn't witnessed, then we are back in that place where I'm going to have to let him go now, and I'll come out and get the CCTV.
It's almost it's like if a tree falls in the woods, does it make a sound? If a guy robs a shop and there's no CCTV, did he steal anything? It's that same thing, isn't it?
Yeah. But there's bits for all of us to do, and I think it is just that, like I said, that empathy, that understanding between us all, that we are trying to do those bits.
Yeah, we all need to be doing something.
Like I said, 43 police forces, which at times doesn't support that kind of one system approach, because we all use a phone that's got one app for one thing. Well, you kind of think this is where we should be aiming, isn't it? One app where a member of staff can click on it, tell me who they are, download the CCTV. Thank you very much.
Why don't the police make the app?
Well, you'd have 43 different apps. That's the trouble.
Why doesn't
at the moment.
The king make the app? That's what we have a monarchy for, right?
I'm not sure the king is. I don't know if he's ever done anything Microsoft Wordsy or.
Well,
no.
He's got time on his hands. So it's been insightful. I'm really glad to have had you on, Stuart. It's fascinating to get that sort of the opposite perspective. You know, we live in our world of security products, and we want to, especially with Smokescreen, we want to push people out of crime. We want to stop people from doing crime. We don't want it to happen at all. Yeah. And we can almost kind of bury our heads in the sand and be like, well, if you've got our thing, then the crime doesn't happen. But it does still happen. And that's so many more cases of it happening than not happening.
Yeah.
So to get your view on it is, you know, it gives us a whole totally different perspective. And I really think the things that you said today, like if you're retailers or security vendors, the people that are watching, like that's stuff that you can take to the bank basically, right? Like especially the CCTV stuff, and, you know, starting to think about the way that you lay your shops out and the way that you interact with the people around you.
Yeah.
Is, you know, and the other retailers around you. There's a lot of stuff that you can be done. Reporting crime properly and effectively and quickly can make a huge difference to the crime in your area without actually spending any more money.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you can make a phone call, if you're going to call the police, you're going to call the police. If you can make that phone call with valuable information, it doesn't cost you any extra money, but it might make a huge difference further down the line. So I think that's the sort of stuff that retailers should really dig their claws into, because it doesn't cost anything, basically. Thank you, Stuart, for...
That's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Just brain dumping for half an hour or so. It's always fascinating to just get that opposite side of the fence kind of view. Like we're on the same team, but we work in totally different worlds, don't we? So
we are. Yes.
It's great.